Hello, hello. Good morning, everyone. And I always say good morning because I am in Las Vegas, but anybody else who's on the West Coast, on the East Coast, you guys are always need to find a different greeting to open up my show. But for now, we're going to stick to good morning. I hope you're having a wonderful Wednesday and everything is off to a great start. Today, on the first time storytelling broadcast, my guest is Judith Vergara. So I was going to give her a little shoulder action. Judith, Judith is an affiliate marketer, a podcaster, and a nosy as fuck. I'm even going to say it, human. She's passionate about learning people's stories. I reckon we have that in common. She loves to find out what makes people happy, sad, and what their desires are. Judith is here to share the story of her first time going to a gay bar. This unlocked a chain of events that led to the discovery of her strength through vulnerability and self expression. Welcome to the show, Judith.
Hello, super fun to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
So excited. All right, so let's get into this. What Actually, I meant to ask you that before we went live, so now I'll just ask you live. Was your first time at a gay bar the first time you had the opportunity to go? Or did you say no a few times before you finally said, okay, I'm going to do this?
It was definitely a few no's the first time around. And then one day I'm just like, you know what? Let's see what this is all about because I already had a lot of questions about myself. So, and then I'm like, and I've never been to any kind of bars before this except for like pubs and all that stuff. I was 19 at the time, and so I was very fresh in the whole going to bars kind of thing.
So we
Definitely
should
didn't.
probably we should probably note that she's in Canada, so
I am.
it's 18 to be able to go out to bars and enjoy a drink.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
And so I was 19 at the time, and I've gone to pubs and all that stuff, but there's something about bars where you have to go dancing that really scared the heck out of me. And I'm just like, I'm not into the whole dressing up, cleaning, putting a nice dress on, doing my hair, my face. I'm just not into that. If I can't go in there in my shirt and my jeans or something comfortable, it's not happening. And so and so it was Halloween of 2011. And
Halloween.
yeah, it was. And I was like, okay, well, this is the perfect time. I have a lot of questions about myself, a lot of things that I've been asking myself since I was a kid, that I'm just like, just so wrong. It's everything that, just a little bit of background. I was born and I grew up in the Philippines, and so it's a very conservative, very Catholic background. I'm like, okay, everything about that is wrong. I cannot be gay. I'm gonna go to hell. That's really what's going through my head at the time. And I'm like, okay, perfect time to explore. Go ahead.
Did you have anyone to talk to about this? Are you going through
No,
this all by yourself?
I was doing all this by myself, but I do have friends, two boyfriends, that they're both gay. And I've been talking to them, and one point I told my friend, I was like, Mike, do not judge me, but I think I might be bisexual. He's like, what kind of opening is that? Why would I judge you when I'm openly and flamboyantly gay? I was like, that does make sense. That does make sense. I'm sorry. And so anyway, but I was like, okay, so Halloween of 2011, what a perfect time to go check out the gay bar. I'll be in costume. No one's gonna recognize me. And so um I went to the costume shop, bought like a hippie costume. I had like a wig on. I had like fake sunglasses on. I'm like, all right, I'm barely recognizable. Let's go
So I
ahead and see
just
this.
I just want
But
to so why was it important to you that you wouldn't be recognizable? I'm just wondering.
shame, a lot of shame. I
Oh.
cannot be, and that's still something that I grapple with 9 years later. I wouldn't say that I'm 100% out of the woods when it comes to that, because I still employ the whole "if you don't ask, I won't tell." So this is very out of the ordinary for me, that I'm gonna come to your show and I'm gonna tell you all about me. How I'm gonna tell you about how I'm Kinsey Six gay. And so this is very out of the ordinary. Usually, if you ask, I'm like, yeah, I am. Otherwise, it's not gonna get brought up.
All right. So, well, thank you. I feel that I love that. And so let's, all right. So you're dressed up as a
Hmm.
hippie, and
Yeah.
for the most part, you're like, okay, I can't recognize myself. So did
Hmm.
you feel like you were going there as somebody else?
In a way, yes. I'm like I'm in an undercover mission to see what ignites inside of me. And it did start, and like I said, it lit something up because I walked in and I'm like, whoa, everyone's guards is down. I'm like, okay, because when I'm outside, when I'm walking around downtown Calgary, everyone's in like suit. Women are in their nice pantsuit, and everyone's like, like rigid and such. And even when I'm in college, I was in college at the time, and it was the same thing. Everyone's just like, mm. And then yeah, I walked into the gay bar and I'm like, okay, even my best friend, I didn't recognize him until I like had to stare at him because he was wearing a full-on drag costume. He doesn't usually do that, and it's not and being incognito is not a thing for him. It's just something he's like, I've always wanted to wear a dress and look like a woman. I'm like, whoa, I didn't even know that about you. And
Oh,
so
that's
yeah.
awesome. Okay, so you walk in and right away you sense the difference. You're like, everybody's, even though they're in costume, like everybody, and maybe that's the funny thing is that being in costume for some people allows you to even be more of yourself.
Mhm.
Because, like you're saying, otherwise you play the role that society or your job or your environment expects of you. And for those who are listening, you've never been to Calgary, we're talking about, it's like Texas. It's like you find yourself, you're like in Dallas, but you're in Canada, and you're like, whoa, this exists in Canada? Like, where did this
It
place come
does.
from? So it's very different because you're like, well, aren't all Canadians nice? And
Hmm.
so, it still has, cities still have their own flavors, even in Canada.
Hmm.
And yeah, Calgary has a Texas flavor.
It does.
And
It still does.
yeah. Okay, so how did the night unfold for you?
In the beginning, I was like, okay, well, a lot of people. I don't know. This is good. This is good. Just in case someone does recognize me, and then I just see. I was literally. It felt to me like I was the only one just standing and holding everything together while everyone is out there really open and surrendered to the moment. I'm like literally standing like that, clasping my drink, like fingertips like white from I was clasping my drink that tight. And then I'm like, and then at some point my friend's like, come on, just join us. And then I did, I started dancing. I had a couple cocktails already, so it started to loosen me up. um and and then at some point I'm just like, this is ridiculous, this wig is hot, this thing is like really scratching my nose, so forget this. I just I took it off, went to the bathroom and put it in the garbage. I'm like, all right, let's do this. And then I'm like, holy shit, am I allowed to swear here? I was like, but I'm like, holy shit, I feel great. This is a feeling that I've never had before, just being there, being surrendered to the moment. And I'm like, and then I finally said it out loud. It's like, okay, I'm gonna stop sugarcoating it. I may not be bisexual. I'm probably super gay. And so that started the work of accepting, expressing myself more.
All right, so the night ended, and now
Uh-huh.
you have this aura of, okay, I admitted it to myself.
Hmm.
How was the
Hmm.
next day like?
The
And
next day was, well, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I went right back to, I'm not gonna talk about it.
mm,
It was great night. It was a great night. It's a feeling, it's a memory that I will cherish forever, but I'm not gonna talk about it. And then,
okay.
but there's definitely some exploration, some conversation I have with my best friend, and I'm like, I really like, she really looks really good, and I really wanna, approach. And he's like, then what are you waiting for? Where are you wasting your time talking about it here? But nothing, I never approached anyone. It wasn't until fast forward to 2013, I was working at a casino, and there's like a lot of everyone working there is at that age where they, it just so happened that we all congregated in one place and we are all exploring this same thing. And it was around 2013 that I finally came out. It did not go well.
No.
Yeah. My mom and I didn't talk for like 2 years.
Oh,
But we're better now.
yeah, yeah.
I'm getting a bit emotional.
Oh,
Uh,
well.
but that 2 years that we didn't talk was great for my own exploration. So grateful for it.
Yeah, because it's hard to disappoint and hurt people in our lives, but
Hmm.
ultimately we have to live our lives and we have to be
Absolutely.
ourselves.
Yeah.
And some people, it might take a little while for them to come around, and some people
Hmm.
might never come around, but you can't live other people's lives.
Hmm.
So 2009, 10, 11, count my fingers. So 4 years later, you came out to your family. Um,
Hmm.
didn't go
No, it
well with.
was 2011 then 2013, so 2 years.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
2 years. Sorry.
Yeah, my dad's like, I've kind of known, so so it was good. And then it was a lot of so basically between 2013 to 16 was just that 3 years is just dark pain, everything. And then 2016 came in. I got introduced to the world of network marketing, and along with that came a lot of personal development. Because that's the first thing they tell you when you start network marketing. And this is not by any chance a chance to promote anything, but that's when I first started. And I've heard about, your mindset and everything when I was in college. My one of my boyfriends gave me the book called The Secret. I read it. I'm like, looks seems the idea is very enticing to me, but I'm not that into it. And then 2016, then that really became, personal development became like really big in my life. And that's when I started going in the upswing from there of being vulnerable, being self-expressed. But and then I know we're doing a lot of time jumps here, but it was 2018. I was already doing really good with affiliate marketing. That I was introduced. I don't know if some of you know, I was introduced to a thing called Landmark. And that's when I really, really came to accept everything, that I'm like, you know what? I have to, I should be, not should, but I'm going to express myself. And you know what? I would rather have 10 people that really, really like me than 100,000 people that kind of like me. So you get what you get at this point.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what's that's a let's get a little bit more into this
Hmm.
journey, because
Okay.
I definitely, if someone is listening, and the more you can share your experience, the more somebody can relate to it, and perhaps it has that impact and that shift to help them
Mhm.
out.
Awesome.
So in that dark period that you were
Hmm.
going through, like, what were you communicating with yourself? Like, what was so hard to accept about, like, is it because of your religious and your faith
It was
upbringing,
it
like
was more
what?
of, if my own mother can't take me, who else would take me?
Hmm.
It was that. And so there was a lot of pain that I was projecting onto the world. So it was a first class dick. Let's put it at that.
Well, at least you can own up to it now, which is
Yeah.
which is good. So obviously, your behavior of being world
Hmm.
class dick is now confirming what you choose to believe, right? So that's something that we do. We believe a certain thing, then we act
Hmm.
that way so that our belief system
Yeah.
is not conflicted. So now it might not be, it had nothing to do with the fact of what your mom felt about you, or that you were gay. But hey, if you're an
It was.
a-hole, you're an a-hole.
Yeah.
People are not gonna like you.
Yeah.
But that justify,
And
like,
yeah, that was my coping mechanism. You don't like me? Well, guess what? I don't like you three times. And so, I'm like, you know what? I don't care. I'm gonna go do what I'm gonna go do what I feel like would inflict most pain and assert my dominance the most, and that's what I'm gonna do. And so to prove that I don't need you, I don't need any of you. So yeah.
Yeah. But and that's the moments where, people say, well, okay, that's because you don't like you. And it's like,
Mhm.
and so getting into, the shift in careers and, pursuing that career
Mhm.
and starting to
Yeah.
be introduced to people or having the dialogue, how, like, when did you realize, like, okay, it's really like, I have a problem with me?
It was 2018 at Landmark. It's one of the things that you're just sitting there. I'm like, shit. My mom didn't accept me, so I made that mean that I'm unacceptable, and so I started rejecting society before they could even come close. And so I'm like, okay, I got to be more mindful about that. And of course, it wasn't instant, right? It wasn't instant, just like anything in the world. Um, it wasn't until late, not late last year, but mid last year, I was already towards the tail end of the whole Landmark course that I'm like, okay, I finally got this under control.
But how, so what, can you tell us a little bit more
Mm,
the process of getting it under control, right? Because you have
yeah,
to shift your mindset, like you have to rewire what you
yeah.
think. Like, how are
Mhm.
you doing that?
Yeah, basically it's being okay with failing. That, oh damn it, I should not have responded like that to my brother. And so I turned around, I was like, Joe, I'm sorry that I behaved that way. And then, sorry. um Basically a lot of swallowing my own pride, and like I said, being okay, not beating myself up when I do fail. And yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I could tell you this because I
Uh-huh.
went through my own journey, which was triggered in different ways, and there were
Yeah.
different things that I was definitely not good at. And a big thing had to do with the relationship with my family,
Mm.
opening
Yeah.
up and sharing, letting them in, and, letting go of the past and the
Hmm.
hurts and the
Yeah.
pains. And, and I was going through that process. It was tough. And then afterwards was stuff talking about it because the pain
Hmm.
was still so fresh that I had
Yeah.
inflicted on myself, that I had inflicted on other people. And then, as you continue to develop and grow and
Hmm.
you continue to evolve,
Hmm.
that pain is
Yeah.
becomes not as
Hmm.
fresh, like when you
Yeah.
talk about it. So, I
Yeah.
mean, I want to acknowledge that you'll see yourself further on the other side of that, but at the
Yeah.
same time, that it's amazing that you're brave enough to come on this show and to
Hmm.
share this with others. And trust me, I've
Of course.
actually, we were talking about a few surprises I've had on the show, and I've ended up in tears twice on my own show. So it's like, you know what? There's nothing wrong with feeling emotions, and there's nothing wrong with publicly expressing
Hmm.
emotion.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's very brave to do so.
Yeah.
So
That's
now,
part of the whole vulnerability and stuff. So it's great.
absolutely, exactly.
Hmm.
So now, like, where are you with things?
Honestly, I'm all about right now. I'm like, the more I give more of what I give. And so if every day I spend, at some point during the day, I spend, time to message at least three people. Hey, Anne, how's it going? Thought of you this morning and just I want to say hi. I have no attachment to whether they respond or they don't. I'm just giving out love. And automatically that ignites something. After you hit send, it just, whoa, I feel good. I like this. And so I am in that part of, I am in that point of, I am here to contribute to everyone's happiness and freedom.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
And
And that's something that I learned, I started doing yoga 2 years ago. And at one point, the instructor closed with, may all beings be happy and free. I'm like, that sat with me. that sat with me. And so I looked that up. It's actually, the whole phrase is, may all beings be happy and free, and may our words, thoughts, and actions contribute to that happiness and freedom for all. And that's become my motto. That's how I close out my podcast every time. So
Oh
yeah.
man, that's wonderful. It's beautiful. How I'm gonna get back a little bit into the story.
Of course.
How, because you opened up and you said that, as a child and growing up, you
Uh-huh.
kind of knew, like, and we hear
Yeah.
it, when, so one of my sisters is gay, and yeah, when she came out, we are all like, okay, not newsworthy, I guess. Like, it didn't, for us and our family, it actually changed nothing. And, I'm personally, like, I'm a born again Christian, and I officiated my sister's wedding. It's like,
Mhm,
love is love, and
mhm,
judgment does not belong at all in love. Like, it's not at all for me to, I love
mhm.
my sister, I love
Yeah.
her wife. Like, it's just love is love.
Mhm,
And actually I never really had this conversation with her, like if she struggled. Like, it was very clear for her growing up, she did not like dresses,
mhm,
she always wanted short hair, and she always got confused as a boy. And we would
mhm,
kind of, sometimes I would get mad about it, and I thought people were very rude. Like, why couldn't they take the second to really notice? And then sometimes we'd tease her about it. I need to have this conversation with her. And so, but I never did ask her, like, were you struggling? Like, did you know, and go back and forth? So what was that struggle like?
Oh, girl, the amount of fights I got into as a kid because someone called me a lesbian. I'm like, "Oh, dare you!" And I start throwing hands. And then, but yeah, there's just a lot of it's there. I'm like, why am I having a freaking? Why do I feel this way towards that girl, but not towards that guy? It should be the other way. Why do I feel very brotherly towards him and not sisterly at all towards her? This is something's not right. This needs to get rewired. And so, and then I'm just like, and then, being a kid, you're like, this is a problem right now. And then 5 minutes later, ooh, you're off to something else. And then I was about 13. It was a school dance. I was still in the Philippines at the time. And this girl, she's like, whoa, all the lesbians dressed up. And I'm like, how freaking dare you? And so I got into a fight at the school dance. But it was but I was like, how dare you? Why would you call me that? What is wrong with you? But that's not the first time I got accused, and that's not the first fight I got into. So it was a lot of, I was rejecting everything. I will throw hands if I have to, just to prove a point that I am normal.
Mm, yeah, I think, that desire to be normal
Yeah.
is so. It does make you wonder, like, where does it come
Yeah.
from?
Yeah.
Admittedly, I derailed. I derailed, and I kind of,
Yeah.
not that I'm extreme and not being normal,
Yeah.
but like, it took me a longer time to realize, like, I'm not normal about these things.
Honestly though,
And
what is normal?
yeah,
There
exactly.
isn't one.
Yeah, for me, I was watching how people were able to make, like, human connections, and I was like, no, that's like,
Hmm.
I don't have that desire. I don't have that need. And you hear it everywhere, right?
Hmm.
Like, you need other people, and it's, it's healthy, and it's what it should be like. And you're like, well,
Hmm.
it's not
Yeah.
like that for me. And I literally had a moment where I was frozen and realized
Yeah.
I cannot reach out to this person.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's not normal.
Yeah.
And so, and I heard myself say that, and I'm like, well, maybe that's not my normal, but do I want it to be my normal? Right. So, and I understand certain things
Mhm.
I'm not trying to compare the two, because you can't change
Of course.
something like that.
Yeah.
But it was like, okay, if I want that to be my normal, then I'll make it. But if not,
Mhm.
then I'm going to be okay
Yeah.
with it not being. So, so whatever's you're listening to this, whatever your thing is, where you're like, well, I'm not normal as far as this goes, then,
Yeah.
who cares?
Honestly, yeah.
Like,
At this point, I stopped labeling anything as normal, abnormal. You know what? I'm just like I have this just full acceptance of what is,
yeah.
and like this is the common theme for the last 3 weeks in the world. You have to accept parts of you that you didn't even know was there. You're like, oof, you're right. That was something that I have been doing, and this is painful, this is tough. I want to tell you off right now, but I'm not. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of that too, but just a lot of acceptance, really. You're like, I am struggling right now and I'm okay with that. That has to become a mantra at some point. I am feeling pain right now. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, like I'm gonna
So
see myself through it. I'm gonna explore what it's about. Like
mhm.
when you have a
Yeah.
reaction to something, I'm gonna pause. I'm
Hmm.
gonna sit with it. I'm gonna find out what it is about. Like, why am I reacting this way? Like,
Hmm.
why do I have such an anger is one of the biggest thing that can make you realize, whoa,
Yeah.
back up.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's going on? And it's
Yeah.
anger towards other people, anger at yourself, and you
Yeah.
really have multiple times
Yeah.
outline how the anger with yourself, you projected it out. Now the love for yourself, you're projecting it out. So
Yeah.
that's a beautiful transition that has taken place.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And when you are reacting towards things, the best thing, and this is something that I have learned super, like, very, very recently, like not even a month ago, that you have to respond with empathy, especially when when you are reacting towards another person. Like a couple weeks ago, I was turning right too slow, so this guy behind me laid on the honk. I'm like, what's happening? I'm turning right and you think I'm going too slow, but whatever. But I got so mad and I got so petty. So I slammed on the brakes and I didn't move my car until he let off the horn. And then he let off and then he started again. Then I stopped the car again. I'm like, yeah, we're going to be here all day. I don't really care. And then I got so petty. And then after I drove off, I'm like, whoa, I reacted poorly to that. I should not have reacted like that. Because think about it, for someone to be that worked up over turning right, that person has got to be in a lot of pain. And then I just like, whoa, I feel bad for the dude.
Mm, yeah,
So yeah, yeah.
there's a lot of anger.
Mm.
There's a lot going on there.
I was
That's
like,
a
yeah, I know exactly what it's like being on that, because I was the same way not that long ago. I get worked up over everything. Someone says something slightly off that I do not like. Let's go. Yeah.
them are fighting words. I just said
Yeah.
good morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, whoa, I ended up, so I had a lot of failures back to back to back to back that I was not processing properly. And I got in a place of such anger. And for me, the way it was reflected to me was that we ended up a little man, he's laying down there. We ended up adopting a dog and he was scared of everything. And when I walked him, he would just pull on the leash. He was scared, like his behavior was just bad. And it would make me like I was already angry, so it would like make me so angry. And I got to the point where like the thought of hurting crossed my mind, and I was like, oh, something is drastically wrong with me that I would hurt a helpless animal who has never been socialized, who doesn't know any better, who's never known safety, who's never known love. I'm like, holy cow, I'm something is wrong with me. And so I made him a promise that I would show him love and work and in the process, I would work through my anger. And
Mhm.
it took a couple of years. And there are times where, yes, if you cross me, I go from 0 to 60. And it's like, and then like you, then I'm like, you could have done a lot better in that
Yeah.
situation. And so I don't think you reached a level of, Zen perfection. It takes a little bit of time, but I think it's so
Mhm.
fabulous that, you know, such a significant realization and acceptance has triggered this amazing growth.
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
so
and I'm not gonna set up a fantasy that say to tell your viewers that okay, once you get conscious of it, it goes up from there. It doesn't. This started in 2011, and it's like small things every single day, small acceptance every single day, and at some point it compounded that, even if I started my personal development in 2016, it wasn't until like 2018, 2019 that it really took off, that I finally actually understand what the heck I'm doing. And
so
so, yeah, go ahead.
I'm curious because I am in the self-development space, right? So I've created a program and actually want to put AI and machine learning, against it. So
Hmm.
I'm curious, do you think now that you can look back with having, perspective and better understanding, do you think there's certain things that could have helped you progress faster?
It's the realization that you have to slow down and process. It's okay to take a few minutes and really, whoa, what just happened there? Because most of the time we're in a society where it has to be boom, 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 right now, right now, right now. And this is weird. But the movie Halloween, the revival, what, 2018 or 19, but they came, not a revival, but the new one came out. And I was watching the movie and I'm like, and the best thing that I got, and the only thing I got out of the movie is Michael Myers, I think it's the name, is going at his own pace and he kills it every time. He nails it
Literally.
every time. And so if I go at my own pace, I'm gonna nail it. I'm gonna kill it every single time. Doesn't matter, the world is going on around him. Kids are running, cars are speeding up. He's just walking at his own pace, and boom, nails it every single time. That I know but that's the lesson that I got, and that's something that a lot of people that I find, because I do a lot of I do coaching as well, but for marketing. And the thing is, people are always in the I want results and I want it yesterday. They don't take the time to be okay with taking time. And so that's the first lesson that would have saved me a lot of heartache, a lot of screw this, if I just understood the concept of I have to take it at my own pace. Just because Anne nailed it in 100 days doesn't mean that I'm gonna show her up and I'm gonna nail it in 90. So it doesn't. I took 90, you took 100, and maybe for you it's 150, and that's fine. So that realization would have been really, that would have really saved me a lot of heartache. And honestly, the learning curve would have been a lot faster too, because I wouldn't be functioning from a place of, oh, I'm so mad about
Yeah.
this. So yeah.
Yeah. Oh, awesome. Well, first off, I want to say that clearly Halloween is a theme in your life. So it's a holiday for you to celebrate and wait for it to bring you some other wisdom.
Yeah.
Two, you absolutely never know how someone's going to have an interpretation of a movie, a song, or an
Yeah.
event. So,
Seriously.
that's awesome. And thank you. And that, because as you were talking, that's something that I would say recently has settled in more for me as well,
Hmm.
because I'm so result driven. Like on a disassessment, I'm a DD. Like it's all
Hmm.
about results.
Yeah.
And I had to realize, like, okay, but I don't I jump too fast because I go after the results and I'll will the results instead of allowing them to just come. And I've had to slow down
Yeah.
and spend more time. And it's been tough. So congratulations,
Hmm.
because I'm 42 years old and I've been on, it's taken really
Yeah.
this long for me to like because I have some interns that are working for me right now, and I'll say, hey, I need to sleep on this, versus before I would have forced myself through it instead of I'll sleep on
Hmm.
it and then I'll
Yeah.
and but I've learned a lot more about the brain and sleep.
Yeah.
Like it's actually very good to sleep on things
Yeah.
because you further process it, you
Yeah.
come back and you're in a much better position to then make the
Mhm.
decision. So if you can sleep on a decision, sleep.
Actually, that's another. It reminds me. You said there's something that would help speed up. That's it. You slow down to speed up. That's another realization that would have helped me significantly if I knew it. Mind you, though, my mentor has been telling me that almost regularly at the time. You gotta slow down in order to speed up. But I'm like, it doesn't make sense to me. If I unplug on the weekends, then I lose 2 days. So you have to be able to be okay with, okay, something's not right. I'm gonna go take an hour, go walk around, maybe watch something on Netflix or go have lunch, and then come back fresh set of eyes. So that's something that would definitely help out. It could be an hour, it could be the whole weekend, but take the time to unplug. It's not, and I've come to have a dislike to the word hustle. I don't like that. It's all about ebb and flow, alignment. So
That's really great. Another question. It's my curiosity because some of the
of
things that I'm
course.
working on currently. So, do you feel, because the people use the term, being coachable, or so do you feel now that you can take somebody's mentorship or somebody's experience and apply it without you having to experience it yourself in order for you to save yourself time in learning the lesson faster?
Sorry, could you
Yes,
like
like I'm
what?
not sure that makes sense. Okay, so one of my missions is I want to raise human potential in this lifetime. But
Mm-hmm.
what
Mm-hmm.
happens is the loops that we all go through and the cycles, we have to break those. In order to break those, it means you have to be able to listen to somebody else's experience and say, okay, I'm going to apply the knowledge that person gained without having to experience it myself, right? So that we expedite. You learn the lesson,
Mm-hmm.
you move to the next level, and then you can learn like additional lesson that I might not get to because it took me this long to get to that initial lesson, if that makes sense. So do you feel like you're at a point, in everything that you've learned where it's like, okay, I can take somebody's wisdom, apply it without having to like have to fully experience for me to get to that point?
So what I got from that is, if you teach me how to um how to mix this drink, I'm just gonna do it through
Yeah,
how I
except
understand,
it's
or
so let's say what's an area in your life right now where you want to continue to grow?
prosperity mindset. Honestly, that's, yeah, I have been in this. I feel like I am at a 6. I went from a 0 to 6, and I feel like I could push it to 10. So that consciousness, the whole manifesting, and money is the easiest thing to practice, but obviously there's more things that you want to manifest, and that's the biggest thing that I, like controlling my own energy, my
Okay.
own thoughts, and that's the biggest thing that I'm working on.
So if someone who has reached that level, which I
Mm,
think there probably are in your life right now, but they tell you their story and they say these are the mistakes that I made and this is how the success came, or that's how the mastery or
mm,
happen, where you'd be like, okay, I'm gonna skip your mistake and go to the mastery because you're telling me what you did, and I can visualize what you did, apply it, put it in
mm,
motion, and then move along faster.
yeah, 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 absolutely. But the difference between me doing that now and me doing that 2 years later is, if I now understand that even if I apply the things you did towards mastery, I'm going to make my own mistakes. Sales pages, video sales letters out there would say, here, skip my mistakes, but it doesn't say you're going to make your own mistakes, right? And you will. That's just the nature of things. But so 2 years ago, or even 6 months ago, I would say, Anne, your shit doesn't work because I did exactly as you told me. And this happened, and this happened, and this happened, and this happened. And the only good I got out of this is this. And so no, I want a refund. Not, well, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and so there's that acceptance of, again, I may not make the mistakes that I would have made, but I'm still gonna make a little bit of mistake there. So there's that acceptance. Is that
It's a no, because it's that's a very valid point, because it's like, if I, which I hadn't thought about, so thank you. So if I prevent you from making my mistakes, you're right, you're not me, so you might still make, so you might make a different mistake,
Yeah.
but can we still shorten your
Oh
your
yeah.
learning curve?
Yeah,
That's,
absolutely. Because instead of making 10 mistakes, I made 3
yeah.
or 4. So
And then if you have that person still there, then you can get through those particular, which they're more
mhm.
like application mistake versus like
Mhm.
personality,
Yeah.
or like traits and development mistakes. So,
Mhm.
all right. Well, this has been, we got a
Yeah.
little bit off course, but
All right.
if I have if I have someone I can have a great conversation with, I'm gonna go for it. All right. So let's switch. Well, and thank you for going along the rabbit holes with me. Okay, so let's switch over and let's play the first time lightning round.
Okay.
So the way this works, I want to throw some first time options out there for you. If it's something you've done before, then if you were on the app, you would swipe up. So this is like similar to what the app provides. So you say up or I've done it before. If it's something that you have never done, not interested, we go left. And if something you've never done, would like to do, we go right. All
So
good?
right, never, but would like to. Left would be no, never. Up is
Yep.
done. Okay. All right.
Okay, go to Mardi Gras.
Right.
Right. Put it on the list. Highly recommend it. Okay, go ziplining.
Up.
Oh, you've done that before. What was your first experience like?
I was in the Philippines, and honestly it was like, oh, hey, I want to do that more. At the beginning I was like, oh, I don't know if I should do this. There's a lot of, what if that thing breaks? I'm gonna fall there and they'll never find my body. And but yeah, no, it's one of those things that it's liberating, because just like anything, if you do something that's like, and there's a little bit of flair to it, because we zip line, and then on the other end we have to rappel our way down. Two things I've never
Oh,
done. Yeah.
nice.
And so I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. The the guide is just giving me instructions, so I'm going to try my best. I slipped a couple of times rappelling down, but it was definitely, there's that feeling of, I'm invincible, I can do this again.
Awesome. Okay, go to an aquarium.
Right.
Right. All right. Write a screenplay.
Ooh, right.
Right. Awesome. Get eyebrows threaded. So not wax, but the thread.
Up.
You've done that. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your first experience
Up.
like?
I'm like, well, this is weird. What are you doing on my face? Why does it feel like that?
Yeah. When she told me to put my hands, I'm like, why am I assisting you?
Yeah. Don't you have 2 extra set of hands? Why am I doing this? I'm not tipping you.
And oh my God, does this hurt?
Yeah.
But it does last a lot longer. Okay.
It does.
Go four-wheeling.
Is that quadding?
Yeah.
Or yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
up. Yeah.
Done that before. Okay.
Ah.
Do weaving.
No, right.
Right. Okay. Prune trees and shrubs. So a little gardening action, pruning trees and shrubs.
Right. It's one of those things where it sounds interesting, but when you actually start doing it, because sometimes I help my mom and my dad do their gardening sometimes, and it's one of those things where, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Then halfway through, I'm like, Mom, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah. One of the things that was on my lease was that, which, believe it or not, in Las Vegas is actually where I live. There's a lot more trees and shrubs and flowers than you would think. But one of the things that was on the lease, that the maintenance was my responsibility. So I started walking around and I was like, huh, okay. And thankfully, it turned out that people are coming out because part of it was like, because it's kind of like giving somebody a haircut. Like, what if I what if I don't cut this right? And this poor bush is all like weird looking. Okay. Do belly dancing.
Right.
Right. All right. Eat at a vegetarian restaurant.
Up.
Oh, yeah, I've done that before. What did you think of it?
It was a lot of meh. It's a lot of
Really?
meh. I'm like, it's
Yeah.
delicious. I like it. But it feels the same way as I would normally with when I go to regular restaurants. So
Oh, yeah. I felt well, the first one I went to, I just the flavors. I felt it had so much more flavor and texture. Like there was so much more time and like purpose spent in
mhm,
making the dish that
mhm.
when you slap a piece of meat in a side, that kind of time doesn't go into it. So, all right. Okay, so what next question is, is there something a first time in your experience that is currently on your list?
There is, but there are a lot of things that I want to do. Um, Number one is I want to go off grid for a couple. Let's start with 2 weeks. I'll go through some severe internet withdrawals, but I want to go to the Philippines, and I go there regularly, but I never go like completely unplugged. I always
Mm,
find that tiny bar of internet of Wi-Fi, and I'm like, yes.
get on
So I
there.
want to um go off grid. That's something I've never done before.
Oh, well, that is well worth doing. All right. Okay, so final question is, how have you been making the best out of the current situation, everything that's happening with the pandemic?
um like I said, a lot of growing as well. Actually, out of boredom, I became a certified yoga teacher. I'm like, dude, that course looks good. Bought. Boom. So
That's
I am now a
awesome.
certified yoga teacher. I don't have any intentions of teaching a class, but hey, I'm a teacher. um, and they honestly a lot of assessing um, life, and it's perfectly okay if all you do, because I don't like saying this is what I've done, this is what I've done, this is what I've done, because it puts some kind of societal pressure on other people that are just working on trying to keep sane during these unfortunate times. And so if that's where you are, that's perfectly okay. My own personal coping mechanism is, what can I do next? So if
Yeah.
your coping mechanism is just to stay sane, that's perfectly okay. But how I've been making the best out of this time is I revived my podcast again. I started podcasting again. I am getting better with handstands. So yeah, so basically just a lot of small things.
That's awesome.
And over the last 3 weeks, I got a sobering wake up call that being a non-black person of color, I have certain privileges, that I get a tiny slice of white privilege. That was hard to swallow for me because I'm like, how dare you? I'm an immigrant. I'm an Asian. I have all these experiences, but that doesn't mean that that's invalidated. So there's a lot of personal growth in there as well.
Oh, well, that's awesome. And great awareness to how that
Mhm.
time was good for you, and how for some others it might be different. Although I will caveat, which as far as our brain goes, engaging in activities is very healthy, and it is a
Mhm.
coping in itself. It is a coping mechanism
Mhm.
because you don't need to be doing work. You don't need to be like, if you can do things that grow who you are and that you learn and you just master a new skill, or that will reward you, and it's so good and healthy for your well-being. It releases really good brain chemicals, and
Mhm.
sometimes when we don't know what we can do, the best you can do is do something that someone is telling you it will release good chemicals. Like, just trust us, release those chemicals, and you know, it will up your mood, and
Mm,
yeah, so awesome.
nice.
The handstand, the handstand is on my list, and um, I was, unfortunately, things like, instead of slowing down, got so much busier for me during which is my own doing, during this time, that um, I do need to master the handstand. So any pointers you have, I welcome those.
10 minutes a day. That's all I do.
Yeah.
10 minutes a day.
I'm doing that with juggling. I'm like, I'm not coming out of this pandemic till I know how to juggle 2 years from now. And are you going to leave your house? I can't juggle yet. I'm a stubborn side.
So I'm like, I'm not gonna leave until I could be upside down for longer than 15 seconds without, having to touch the wall, without having to have all these other, so if it's like 5 years from now, no, I'm still in quarantine.
All right. Well, thanks again for coming on, and
Thank you.
enjoy the rest of your week.
Thank you. Thank you. And I'm glad to be here. Glad I could share my story.